Hi, welcome to 7 Habits that are dangerous, detrimental, and damaging to your relationships. Today, we're going to be taking a little closer look at improper use of texting. Dr. Tony Victor here, and I'm so glad that you decided to join me. Texting is one of the quickest, easiest, simplest, most efficient ways that we have of communicating today. It's a great way of staying in touch with each other. However, in a long-term, intimate, committed relationship, texting can actually get in the way of building that sense of emotional connection, that sense of love, that sense of intimacy. Now, the reason for that is actually a couple reasons. First, it's because of the way that our brains function. You see, our brains are designed for a couple of reasons, for a couple of things. First has to do with our primitive, if I could say that word, primitive survival. And the second has to do with having that experience of fulfillment and that experience of passion, having that experience of joyful relaxation. That's experience of what I refer to as emotional connection. Now, between these two, the experience of full aliveness and emotional connection and survival, our brains are hardwired to put far more emphasis on survival. And so naturally, our brains will focus much more attention and energy into the things that can be hurtful and harmful to us. Now, the second piece here that's very important is communication itself. Communication is about far more than just the words that we're sharing. Communication is a felt experience, especially communication in a long-term committed relationship. It's about feeling the other partner, feeling your partner. So what we understand about communication is that communication is more than 80% nonverbal. Communication is about the facial expressions. It's about the body language. It's about the tone of the voice that the person's using to communicate. In text messaging, we receive less than 20% of the information that we need to be able to really understand and to really get what the other person is trying to express to us. Now, when we don't have that 80% of the information that we need, what our brains do is they just naturally fill that information in. But the information that they fill in will always tend to be in the worst case scenario based on past experiences. So some people try to make up for that by using these little emoticons, these little pictures, a smiley face or little tear running down the face to express happiness or sadness or whatever they're trying to express. The emoticon is just simply a picture that gives us a mental representation. What the emoticon cannot do is give us the felt experience of the other person's meaning. So, what I do with my clients, I teach my clients a variety of tools that they can use in communication that build the experience of having that relaxed joyfulness, the experience of connection. You see, in texting, we often misunderstand and misinterpret our partner's intention and our partner's meaning. And so we need to use some tools to be able to really be able to get each other and to get our partner's meanings. Today, what I would like to do is to share 3 of those tools with you. The first of those 3, and by the way, what I want you to do is to practice these tools, experiment with them, try them out, and see what differences they may make in your relationship. So are you ready for the first? The first of the 3 is what I refer to as the gaze of acceptance. So what do I mean by the gaze of acceptance? Well, have you ever had the experience of holding a newborn baby, looking down into that baby's eyes, and you just want to smile, and you're just communicating with your look that you're perfectly acceptable, that you're perfect just the way you are? That's what I mean by the gaze of acceptance. Now, in most long-term committed intimate relationships, in that first stage of the relationship, when couples first start dating and they fall in love, that gaze of acceptance is just natural. Each time we see our partner, we're longing to see them, and we just can't wait to see them. And when we do, we just smile and our eyes light up, and it communicates to the other person that they're being accepted just as they are. But in long-term committed relationships, we get so busy, caught up with life and with doing things and interpreting things in the negative because of the way our brains are wired, that we tend to stop even looking at each other. Unless there's a frustration that we're having or there's a difficulty, and then instead of the gaze of acceptance, we give them that glare of disdain. You know, that look. So, begin making an intentional, conscious decision that each time I see my partner for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to give my partner that gaze of acceptance rather than that glare of disdain. The second tool that I want to share with you today is the tender touch. And once again, most partners, when they first begin dating, they fall in love, they can't touch each other enough. Always holding hands, always giving each other hugs, kisses, little touches on their shoulders, on their backs. When we sit next to each other, touching their thighs, their knees. And yet, in long-term committed relationships, oftentimes we tend to just stop touching. So, for the next 2 weeks, practice and experiment with that tender touch. Practice reaching out to your partner and just touching them. So what I say is, begin touching more and texting less. The third tool that I want to share with you today is words of appreciation. Again, in that romantic stage, when we first fall in love, appreciation just kind of rolls out of our mouth. We can't say enough good things about our partner. But in long-term relationships, challenges come, frustrations happen, and we begin to feel a little bit negative because of the way our brains work. And when that begins to happen, we begin to focus more on the negative and begin to stop expressing the appreciations. So, once again, what would happen in your relationship if just for the next 2 weeks you intentionally shared some type of appreciation each day for the next 2 weeks? Maybe something your partner's done recently that you appreciate. Just letting your partner know about the little things that they're doing. When they take the garbage out, or they make an errand and run to the store to pick up something for you. Or they're just mindful of you. Or maybe reminding your partner of those characteristics that you just love about your partner. Letting your partner know that he or she really is appreciated. Now, imagine what might happen if you took a couple minutes and just did all three of these. If you sat down face to face with your partner and looked them in the eyes with that gaze of acceptance, and you reached out and you touched and maybe held their hand while you're expressing an appreciation, what might happen in your relationship over the next couple of weeks, over the next 6 months, or over the next year? Or what if the next time that you had something important that you wanted to talk with your partner about, maybe something that you're stressed out about, maybe an emotion that you want to share, maybe a difficulty you're having, or just something that you're excited about, what if instead of texting, you sat down face to face and you began that conversation with these three, that gaze of acceptance, that tender touch, and those words of appreciation, and you shared those first, and then face to face, looking into your partner's eyes, you shared with your partner whatever it is that's on your mind, instead of texting? Where might your relationship be if that became a habit? So this is Dr. Tony Victor, encouraging you and helping you to create the relationship of your dreams. I want to encourage you to find me on Facebook, like my Facebook page, Growing Love Relationships. Find me on LinkedIn and follow me on Twitter. And find me on Google Plus and circle me in your groups. And circle my page, Growing the Love Relationships of Your Dreams. Until next time, stay connected.